Hello, and welcome to my kitchen. With our family, homemade applesauce is a weekly staple. So for today, I'm going to be making homemade applesauce. Before we get started, you'll need to get some items together. First, you'll need a pot. This is something to put the apples in after they've been peeled, cored, and sliced. This can work. This will slice the apples and remove the core. A potato peeler, this will help with peeling off the skin, and a potato masher for mashing the apples. Or if you want to get a little more technically advanced or technologically advanced, I recommend an apple parer. This will not only peel your apple, but it will also core it and slice it all in about roughly 10 to 15 seconds. And here is a Foley food mill, and this can help with mashing the apples. So it's up to you if you want to go with the apple parer and the Foley food mill, or if you want to go the more simplistic route with the potato peeler and the apple slicer. First, I like to start with adding about 1.5 cups of water. And for today, I'm going to be using my apple parer. So I'm going to flip my switch to secure the apple parer to the counter here. So just flip the switch. Now I'm going to grab an apple. And you want the top side of the apple where the spokes are. And just start spinning. And once you have peeled and sliced your apple, just pull it right off, and we have sliced apples. From here, I like to remove the little part of the apple that has the apple slice or the apple peel still on the slice. And then after that, just slice it. Oh, and that one has a little bit of a seed to it. You can put the apple peel and slices with the seeds into the food mill, but I prefer to do it without, and I will show you why later. Spin to peel it, core it, and slice it. Remove the apple from the core and sliced apples. Using a potato peeler, and you would peel the skin off of your apple first. Use this apple slicer and core, and once the apple is peeled, then just put this on top of the apple and then push down, and then you will have 8 even slices of your apple to then put in the pot. Just a side note, if you're using a food mill, then you do not necessarily need to peel and core your apples. You can just slice them and put them in the food mill, and then as it spins around, it will mash the apples, and then the apples will come out the other side. My personal preference is to peel and slice my apples before putting them in the food mill, and that's just because if the skin is still on the apple, as the apples go down and get smashed into this, the skin will block the holes here, preventing the apples from coming out the little holes here. And just the same with coring the apple, there are little stringy bits that go around the seed inside the apple, and those stringy bits can actually go through the holes, and then you have stringy bits inside your applesauce. It's my personal preference, but I prefer not to have stringy bits in my apples. Once you have peeled, cored, and sliced all of your apples, you'll want to put them on the stove. And I like to put my stove on between 3 and 4 and let it cook for about 30 to 40 minutes. You'll want to keep an eye on it, make sure the water does not evaporate and then you're cooking apples without any water. But just the same, you want your apples to cook long enough that they're easily mashable. So again, that's where roughly 30 to 40 minutes, and we'll check back in with the apples in a little bit. You may begin to notice is that the apples will start to change color from when they first went into the pot until now. Once your apples are done cooking on the stove, now it's time to scoop up the apples and put them in the food mill. I like to try to squeeze out some of the water if there's excess water in the bottom of the pot here before I put them in the food mill. And now just start to spin. From here, you'll just spin around. Every so often, I'll spin back the other way to pick up everything that's been mashed down, and also when it goes up the sides, spin around and then keep going clockwise. And something you may need to do every so often is to take your spoon and push down all of the apples that have gone up on the sides, and then continue spinning. And once you're all done, I like to take my spoon, lift up your food mill, and scrape off the bottom to get the excess apples off of the bottom. Now this is the part where you get to decide how you want your applesauce flavored. Do you want it plain? Then just serve it as is. Do you want it sweetened? This is where you would add sugar. Do you like cinnamon with it? This is where you would add the cinnamon and the sugar. If you're using 4 to 6 apples, I like to start off with 1/4 a cup of sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. That's my personal preference. And then from there, depending on how many apples I've used, I will continue to taste test, adding in more cinnamon sugar as needed until I think it's just right. So to start off, 1/4 cup of sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then stir. And since I used 12 apples, I'm going to double my recipe. I've put in 1/2 cup of sugar total now. I'm adding in another 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, so that's 1 teaspoon total. And just stir everything together. And when you're done, taste test it. If you like it, then go ahead and serve or put it in the refrigerator. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Post your comments below. Remember to select like if you like the video. And as always, subscribe.